Hello there, this is Suzanne at Nonstop Papercrafts. Welcome to the channel. Okay, so today we're just going to go through how to bind signatures to a cover. So I'm going to be showing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Now for me personally, I think this is the easiest stitch to use when binding a journal. I know there are others out there. By all means check them out, find what's best for you. But personally I found that the 3-hole pamphlet stitch holds my pages in place nicely. And so far I haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so for the purposes of this, I have just made up a simple signature. So all I've done is these are dyed papers. I've got 8 pages here, and then it was an A4 size. I've just trimmed it in half, and then I've just folded that to make my signature. Okay, so if you're new to junk journaling, a signature is just a collection of pages. So this is one signature. If you were to have a bigger journal, then you may have 2 signatures, okay, or 3 or 4 or 5, etc. Okay, so I have my signature, my pages folded. You can use anything you like. Like I said, I'm just using some dyed papers that I have. And then you need to find something for your cover. So if you're just starting out, a piece of scrapbooking paper, a piece of stiff card that you perhaps print a pattern on, or it could just be a plain card that you're going to decorate later, that's absolutely fine. One alternative that I'm using today for this demonstration is just textured wallpaper. So I managed to get a few rolls from my local charity shop for £1 each. And I quite like using wallpaper for projects for junk journaling, just because obviously it's thicker than normal copier paper. But it's not too thick. It folds quite nicely. I tend to make a lot of pouches and things out of it, but I thought for a small little notebook this might make a really lovely cover. So all I've done is cut it to size. So I laid my folded signature to the side, had a look, so I had a little bit of a gap all the way around. I folded this over and then cut it to size. Okay, so that's all I did for the cover. Right, now for the pamphlet stitch. So what you're going to need is something to obviously sew your signature in with. So I like to use embroidery floss. You can use twine. I wouldn't necessarily use normal cotton threads that you would use for sewing because it's quite thin. You can get, I think they're waxed threads, which are actually used for book binding, so obviously they would be quite good. But yeah, embroidery floss is what I tend to use. Okay, and then obviously a needle to thread it. You're also going to need a pointy tool or an awl, AWL. This is literally the tool that will poke the holes. Okay, so once you've got your signature in place, there are lots of different ways of doing this, but the main thing you want to make sure is that your signatures are all straight and in line, and that they are in place where you want them in the signature. So if you have a gap at the top and the bottom and you want to make it equal, then just make sure that you've done that. And then a good idea is to use paper clips at the top, at the 2 sides, or the top and the bottom, just to make sure that everything is held in place. Okay, so here are my 2 paper clips holding everything in place. I then lay this down, and I do tend to close the cover a little bit, but I'm going to try and keep it as open as I can so obviously you can still see. Now with your pokey tool, you're going to go to the middle. Now if you want to, you can, if you want to be exact, you can obviously measure, find the middle, and then make a mark. And then most people kind of come an inch or so in from the edge. You can obviously again measure that as well if you want to. I'm not, I'm literally just going to poke through. So I'm just going to make a little mark just so you can see where I'm going to poke. But I'm not measuring, I'm eyeballing. So as you can see, I've made a little mark. So I'll have one in the middle, that's where I'm going to poke my first hole. And then I've got one about an inch from the top and one an inch from the bottom. Okay. So trying to keep this folded a little bit, just because it helps keep the pages snug into the back spine of your cover, you're just going to take your pokey tool. Obviously make sure you've got a surface behind you that, you know, this is a cutting mat, that obviously you don't mind your pokey tool going into, and then just gently give it a little bit of a twist and a push, and then as you can see, it will then come out the back of your spine. Okay, now you then want to release your pokey tool, and then what I do is I will already thread my needle through. Okay, then you'll mark your next hole, so I'm going to go to the top. So again, you do the same thing. Like I said, it helps if you fold it forwards, but I just literally find where I've made my mark, and then I will push and twist until I feel it coming out the back end. So now you can see it's come through the spine. Now you'll find, and don't worry if this does get a bit fiddly, threading your needle through your signatures and out your cover tends to be very easy. Trying to come back through your cover and through your signatures, that tends to be the fiddlier part. So I tend to try and hold this in place. I pull out my pointy tool, and then I will try and thread my needle in at roughly the same angle that my pointer tool has gone in, and oh, this time I've been very lucky and it's actually worked. Okay, then all I'm going to do is pull some of my thread through. That's it. Okay, then we're going to do the same down the bottom. So again, line it up with my mark, give it a push and a twist so it comes out the bottom. Take it out, and then with my needle, my embroidery floss, we go out. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to now come back in the middle. So like I said, it always tends to get a bit fiddly when you're going in this way. But this time, how lucky have I been? That looks flawless. I promise you, it's not always that simple, even for somebody that's been making journals a long time. So what I do recommend is that obviously where you've got your middle piece of floss, you ideally want one strip coming one way, and then obviously your bit that you've just threaded through coming the other side, so it just helps. And then all you do is you just pull these, just so obviously you can tighten up the signature, and then just obviously check the back to make sure that these feel nice and tight. If they don't, just give another little tug. Don't pull too hard, because obviously you're going to end up tearing your pages. Then all I do is then just make a knot down at the bottom. So once you're happy, make a knot, do it again. Oh, lost my needle, that's fine. And just make sure that that knot goes right down to the bottom. There you go. I'm going to do another one for luck. 2 should be fine, but I do tend to do 3. And then how long you have your embroidery floss is entirely up to you. I tend to kind of go down to where the bottom of the page is and then snip. Then obviously got this bit spare for another time, and there is your bound journal. Okay, so you can see the sewn spine on the edge, but your pages are nice and secure, and the nice thing is they lay nice and flat as well, so whenever you're writing they are nice and flat. Okay, no matter where you turn in the book, and it's just as easy as that. Well, I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please give this video a like. If you would like to see more crafty videos where I'm showing you more about junk journaling, doing embellishments, making pockets, making more journals, then please click the subscribe button. Make sure you also click the bell, because then you'll be notified of any new videos that I release. You can also find me on social media. All the links will be in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful crafty day. Thank you. Bye bye.